one thing that I think people underestimate as they're starting a new goal, getting into entrepreneurship, you're doing something business oriented, something kind of like logic mind oriented, is people kind of tend to forsake how much the emotional side, how much the childlike side really plays into that, how much your emotional vibe plays into things. Like I can directly correlate, like was I in a good vibe when I filmed a video and how successful is it? I mean, I've just found that they directly correlate. And it's not as much for a lot of people about just the knowledge that you share, but it's the vibe exchange and like how people feel and how passionate you are when you're watching the video. And so I found that my levels of passion kind of dip and go up, and they just kind of go up and down, and it's not very consistent. And I have months where I'm really passionate and other times when I'm not. And so one thing I do is I harness the power of children's media because it's more emotional in nature. They really want kids to feel something. As an adult, I still think that that is really valuable. So like I'll even do things like, there's this book, Finding Muchness. This is a children's book. It says recommended for ages 99 and younger. And I love this book, and I love this picture. This is my favorite picture of the thing. How to add more to your life, how to get much out of life. Or this one's, what do you do with an idea? And I actually bought the little, this little egg represents the idea, and I actually have a little like stuffed animal version of the egg that I keep in my backpack, like where I keep my laptops when I go to work on videos. When I reach into a certain pocket, I always feel it. There are certain songs that really pump me up, like the movie Spirit, Stallion of the Summer, on that horse movie. That has a good soundtrack. The Tarzan. Like, there are songs in the middle of movies. I wish that there was a name for this type of song, but it's the song in the middle of the movie where the protagonist is learning something. And it's kind of like the pump-up song where there's usually like a montage in the middle where you can see like the team is working together or the main character is kind of progressing. I don't know what that song is called. I'm just going to call that the protagonist growth song. Those are fantastic. So I have a playlist of these protagonist growth songs, and one that I really love is on Tarzan, the song Son of Man kind of is one of those. That song just like speaks to me like on an emotional level. Like another song is The Little Engine That Could. That song, like, I don't know why, it just like speaks to like the childlike part of you. They speak in a like a delicate way that, I don't know, that's just something that I do. And they're like short routines. Like I could listen to the song as I'm getting ready. And I think the biggest reason why it's so impactful is because when you're a child, you haven't gone through that point of life yet where you change yourself and conform yourself to other people's expectations. Like you're at the point where you don't know the rules of life yet, the rules that people should do and what's the most responsible path to take. Like you don't have all this crap buried on you yet. So they can just like with children's media, they can just speak directly to the childlike part and the part that knows what they want to do and is starry-eyed, and it just like kind of awakens that in me. Like I just feel like what happens is you come into the world and you have your ideas and you're like this starry-eyed, like unique person. And, you still have some growing to do. You're not completely immature, but in general, you have a lot of things figured out. And then society, which has a lot of issues and a lot of things not figured out, pours some like crap on you, and they pour some dirt on you. And eventually it's like yourself gets buried. It's like you're 6 feet underground and you just get buried with societal expectations. And then after you get buried, then you're 18 and you make some decisions about your life, which are then based on society's expectations a lot of the time. Or maybe you are brave enough to do your own thing, but then after 5 years you give up. And it's just like you lose yourself. It's just this process. Growing up is just like this process of losing yourself. And so then you have to go through this process of like finding yourself again, to undig, to get rid of all these limiting beliefs and these subconscious beliefs you have. And you have to do the process of digging out all this crap, getting rid of the fear. So many decisions are fear-based. Like when I look back at like my decision to become a teacher, it's just like afraid of doing anything bigger with my life. It's just afraid of not being financially stable. And so I did that. I'm like, you can always find a math teaching job, so I guess I'll just do that. And that's a fear-based decision. Like a love-based decision doesn't take into account fear. It takes into account what do you love doing? What do other people love? And it's more optimistic. It's like, what if people love this thing? Instead of thinking, what if it fails? And what if I don't have any money? And so you undig yourself. Eventually, you find yourself again, this childlike part. And I feel like reading the children's book and listening to children's media, it brings that part to life again. It like helps with the undigging process to say like, what did you love when you were 8 years old? And do you still love those things? And what did you have right when you were 8 years old? And you have some maturing to do. Your brain develops and you learn some emotional intelligence skills. You knew who you were. Like, children are almost like selfish to a fault. And then as you go through life, some people don't do this, but at least it's my experience, that I stopped putting my own needs last. And so it's coming back to that childlike selfishness. I mean, you don't have to be a jerk, you still think about other people, but you should think about yourself. You don't have to be self-centered, but you think, do I like this thing? Am I happy doing this thing? Is this really what I want to do? As a child, did I enjoy this? And you start putting yourself first again. And you're still kind to other people or whatever. It's kind of like, it's like a tension. It's kind of like a paradox. It's like you're selfish and selfless, and you try to balance those things, and people are too heavy on other side. And for me, I was too heavy on the selfless side. I didn't think about what I wanted. So it's just a coming back to that. It's a coming back to childhood, to what you liked and who you are, despite other people. Before you learned the people looked down on you. Before you learned, let's see that. And at first I believed them. I actually thought about giving up on my idea. I almost listened to them. I showed it to other people, even though I was afraid of what they would say. I was afraid that if people saw it, they would laugh at it. I was afraid they would think it was silly. And many of them did. They said it was no good. They said it was too weird. They said it was a waste of time, that it would never become anything. And at first I believed them. I actually thought about giving up on my idea. I almost listened to them. And that's like what growing up can be for some people. It's a growing up and just listening to other people and just letting them trash on your idea and listening to that. And so it's coming back to the person you were before people told you that it wasn't good enough. One exercise has been so helpful. I have a purpose video, and I recommend you go watch it. And I did an exercise that was incredibly impactful in my life. And it has you think about maybe 5 childhood memories, and then you kind of distill, what is it about those 5 good memories that you really liked, and what meaning can you draw from that? And then you end up making a purpose statement. So mine ended up being, my purpose is to feel expansive and to feel scared excited, helping other people do the same. Because when I looked back at my childhood memories, all of my favorite memories involved me doing something new. I was expanding my horizons. And all of them involved me being a little scared. I couldn't think of a word, so I called it scared excited. But I was kind of nervous and excited about this new thing. Everyone has these purpose statements. So yeah, I recommend you go watch that video, because your childhood self knew, you knew what you liked in childhood. There are certain things about you that are resolute. They do not change. And so I just encourage you to have the resolve and the courage and the humility and the growth mindset to go back to your childhood self and to grow into a child again, to have, the wisdom that you've learned from being an adult, but the childlike wonder and the faith that you had as a kid and the pursuit of fun that you had when you were a kid. Because, if you die, you're not going to be excited for the times that you were responsible. You're not going to look back and be like, wow, I'm so glad that I had that 9-to-5 job with 2 weeks of vacation every year and I hardly saw my family, but at least there was food on the table. There's more to life than that. I'm getting so bummed up. I forgot how much I love personal development videos. I've been doing MBTI videos for a while, and I do love Myers-Briggs. I love it. But I don't know. There's something more in alignment with me doing personal development videos. I encourage you to go watch my purpose video. It was a really impactful exercise for me, and I use it. I think of it still to this day. Thanks you so much for watching. Bye.